Welcome to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Mendte. On this week's show, the search for Stephanie Pars. It has been 3 weeks since the 25-year-old went missing. It's a story that has captivated the state. We speak with the Monmouth County Prosecutor about the search. Also in this week's show, celebrating women entrepreneurs in New Jersey. We talk with First Lady Tammy Murphy. Also, a first-of-its-kind restaurant, especially designed to serve children with autism. And now, our interview with Monmouth County Prosecutor Chris Gramiccioni. As always, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming in to talk to us.
Great to see you, Larry. Thanks for having me.
We should point out that we're taping this, and there's going to be some lag before it airs, so a lot can happen in these cases, and I understand that. So, but in general, I want to bring up a couple of things. First, though, there was an article in the Asbury Park Press, and it insinuated that maybe you can't handle two missing person cases in Monmouth County. That is Monmouth County up to the task of handling two missing person cases, especially high-profile cases? Jacqueline Terulli, 65 years old, from Ocean Township, and also the one that's in the news right now, 25-year-old Stephanie Pars. What's your answer to the Asbury Park Press article?
My answer is that the answer is a resounding yes. I'm the chief law enforcement officer in the county, and I'm quite confident that my office can handle these two investigations and the hundreds that are coming on a near daily basis in this county. Now, we are the fourth largest county in the state. We have the second most municipal police departments of any county across the state. We have 79 detectives on staff, 59 prosecutors, and we partner with 1,000+ police officers across our jurisdiction. And we work and collaborate as a team to do this. And that also includes state and federal law enforcement, which will often partner with us. So that inquiry or that rhetorical question, I have people out on the ground working these cases as you and I sit here today. And that spans NYPD in New York, and it includes state law enforcement resources. So we are certainly up to the task. There's a hand that you're dealt. It's not for a lack of effort or trying. We are scouring everything we can to try to identify the whereabouts of these two missing persons, but I am quite confident that my team and our folks and our partners in this are up to the task to try to eventually find out and get to the bottom of what happened here.
You handled that quite well. Are you insulted at all by that?
I don't love the rhetorical question that's in the headline. I don't attribute any intent with it, and we have a good partnership with the Asbury Park Press, but important for me is when the citizens read that article, when they hear this news report, I'm the chief law enforcement officer here. My number one job is the safety and security of our citizens. I don't want them to have a single shred of doubt in their minds that we're not up to the task. So to that end, if there's any question in anyone's minds, I want to put that to rest right now.
And also, they're not just questioning you. They're questioning all the law enforcement officers. They're questioning everybody involved in the case. They're saying Monmouth County. I mean, everybody involved in doing the hard work, and I understand everybody's working through the weekend now, too, is being questioned.
They are hustling around the clock. Just a few days ago, we had 200+ people out searching a swath of land in Staten Island, going through with K-9 units, with electronic surveillance, and manpower, people power that are out there searching for evidence or any indication of where, in that matter, Stephanie Pars might be. So I'm looking out for my team. These people are working hard and hustling, and we're above it. We're public officials. We can take the scrutiny. We have broad shoulders. But I have to say, I felt bad for the people that are working so hard on this to potentially have to wake up and read that headline in the newspaper.
Can you tell us anything? I mean, I gave the qualification that we're doing this early, but are you close to a break? Do you think you're onto something?
It's hard for me to be able to speak to that on the record, but what you see, it's kind of like an iceberg. The public and the media has seen certain steps, investigative steps we've taken, searches that we've conducted, but there's more that's going on under the level of the water, the larger iceberg, and that includes things like forensic examinations of evidence and media that we've obtained, a lot that's going on behind the scenes. And some of that stuff takes time. We need to wait for lab technicians to examine certain material or bits of evidence. We need to wait for forensic computer media to continue to be examined. So there's, in this world, there's a large electronic footprint that's left in the 21st century that we operate with. As in any investigation, that's part of these two as well. And we're continuing to work with that, to say nothing of continuous efforts to try to canvass scenes, witness interviews, asks or efforts to reach out to the public. We're going to be working with the Monmouth County Crime Stoppers, who I think are considering whether a reward offer would be applicable to these types of cases. Anybody that might have information could be entitled to a reward, but I don't want to jump out ahead on that until they make that
I
decision.
understand. And believe me, I've been doing this long enough where I didn't expect an answer to that question. I just thought maybe there was something or maybe you were close. But I do think there are a couple public safety questions that do need to be answered. And the public safety questions would be, you don't believe in any way these two cases are related.
Absolutely not.
And you don't believe that there's a public safety concern out there. Because you have two people. There's not someone out there who might take someone else. No,
this is not a random act of a kidnapping or a disappearance. Based on the investigations in each case, it's our belief that this was a very personalized or targeted matter. It isn't a situation where a member in the communities of which these women resided, they're at risk from some kind of random kidnapping. That's just not the case. We have no indicia or indication to believe that that's the situation as I sit here today.
Yeah, it might sound obvious, but it's important.
I want to get that out.
Two separate cases, and that nobody has anything to fear, at least from these two cases.
I think that's a great point to bring out to assuage the concerns of the public.
I want to bring one other thing up before we get to the point of you being here in the first place. You want to talk about your cadet program, and that is a case that you're involved in, where you're being sued by the family of a woman, not when I mean you, I mean the prosecutor's office, is being sued by the family of a woman who was killed by her husband, who was a Neptune cop, and for a while you had taken his gun, but you gave it back to him. And the reason the case is now going up through the courts is because you're fighting for indemnification for a prosecutor's office, which most people would think would happen in a case like this, but it's being questioned. Can you comment on that case?
I can't comment extensively on it because the Supreme Court thankfully agreed to consider the case very recently, so it's going to be heard at the High Court here in New Jersey. But in terms of us as defendants, we have the ability to raise a defense. We have counsel. It really just boils down to whose obligation is it to supply that counsel to represent the interest of the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office. And that's the very narrow legal issue that the Supreme Court will be deciding. Is it the onus of the Division of Law at the Office of the Attorney General, or is it the County of Monmouth that would have to hire outside counsel to represent us? And that's kind of the narrow issue, and I don't want to speak any further about it, but that's what was going to be reviewed.
Well, I'm going to ask a follow-up question.
I'll do my best.
You don't have to answer, but because I do believe that there's some precedent in this, only because it's going to the highest court in the state, and it could go beyond that, who knows, but to the state's highest court. So there is some precedent that will be set with this case. Are you concerned about other prosecutors' office and what could happen to them depending on how this case goes?
You know, I can't comment on operations of the other 20 prosecutors' offices. Of course, they're my friends and colleagues.
But they expect indemnification.
Well, in this case, the CPANG, the Association of Prosecutors across the state, they are going to be coming in on this issue when it appears before the Supreme Court on what's called amicus curiae. They're going to brief the issue, and the Supreme Court has agreed to allow that to be considered.
On your side?
Well, not necessarily on our, but yes, on our side.
On their side, too.
But
I get
on behalf of the Prosecutors Association overall, not necessarily just the litigation ensuing from Monmouth.
So they're concerned about a precedent?
I don't want to speak for the CPANG, but by virtue of their participation in this, it's probably a fair assessment.
And with that, we will get to the cadet program.
Fine.
But I'd like to do it in the next segment if you can stick around.
Sure, of course,
and we'll give it the time it deserves.
Of course.
Continue our conversation with Prosecutor Chris Gramiccioni of Monmouth County when Jersey Matters continues right after this.